everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Habits You Love. I'm so excited for today's guest today. We have Zach Rance on Habits You Love. He is a personal growth coach for high income earners, two-time Ironman, an author and podcaster of Live Better Now, and he was on Big Brother season 16. So welcome, Zach.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah, me too. So obviously it's called Habits You Love. So I love sharing other people's journeys of how they navigated maybe some tough times to how they got to where they are today. And if you look at your social media profile, you do share a lot of healthy, happy tips for and motivation for other people. So, but what I gathered by doing a little research is maybe you didn't always live the way you do currently. So I'm excited to share your journey through all of that. And so welcome, and let's talk about some healthy, positive habits.
Absolutely. Yes. So do you want to hear a little bit about how I started my journey and how I got here
I
today?
do. I want you to walk us through how you kind of got to where you are.
I feel like my entire life, things came natural to me. I've always been a natural coach, helping my friends, being a good listener, hyping people up. I'm extremely positive my entire life. And because I radiated a lot of positivity and good energy from the moment I came out of my mother's womb, that's kind of helped me a lot with creating good relationships and excelling in school and on the sports field and things like that. But it wasn't until I got off Big Brother season 16 back in the summer of 2014 that I really started struggling a lot with my own mental health and on my own personal growth journey. I didn't even know what personal growth was at the time. I never read any nonfiction personal growth books. I didn't know who Tony Robbins was, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy. I didn't know what this industry was, and I had no idea the massive, amazing positive benefits you can get from just doing a little bit of this kind of stuff, right? Implementing small habits each and every single
Yes.
day amount to massive results. And when I got off Big Brother, I struggled a lot with my mental health for a few reasons. The first reason was because I was receiving a lot of attention online on the internet, and people were paying me to do meet and greets and to do club appearances and paying me money to post things on my Instagram page, and people were writing articles about me. And it really went to my head. I was 23 years old at the time.
I was going to ask how old you were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was 23, so I was freshly out of college, just graduated from the University of Florida, had a degree in economics and entrepreneurship, and wasn't planning on getting a job. I was okay just being broke, living on the beach in a van, and I would figure it out from there. Not saying that was my lifelong dream, but I would rather do that than sit at a desk from 9 to 5 and make $75,000 a year. So,
Exactly.
and this was back in 2014. So I graduated, got cast to go on Big Brother, had an amazing 4 months on the TV show. And for some of the people that don't know what Big Brother is, it's a reality TV show. It's a game show. 16 strangers in a house, 8 women, 8 men, all competing for $500,000. There are mental competitions, physical competitions, endurance competitions, memory competitions, et cetera, et cetera. We are completely cut off to the outside world. No cell phone, no books, no communication with our family or friends. It's kind of like jail, but we have less technology, less uh, dopamine hits than you would receive in jail,
Yes.
in a prison cell. So kind of like prison, got off the show, all of the attention went to my head, mental health spiraling downhill, started abusing a ton of alcohol, going to clubs 3 nights a week, spending money I didn't have to impress people I didn't even know. I wasn't even wearing the same clothes twice because I thought that I was famous, and famous people don't rewear the same shirts and clothes. So spending all my money on clothes and alcohol, until I didn't have any money left in my bank account. I was 25 years old, living with my parents. So I was like, how did I go from having 400,000 Instagram followers and making $30,000 on a reality TV show, getting paid $2,000 a meet and greet, to having no money in my bank account, living with my parents, and no money on the calendar? So it was like, whoa, okay, Zach, what do we do from here? So I just
Sounds like a rock bottom moment.
rock bottom, for real, rock bottom. Now, not saying my rock bottom is worse than other people's, and not saying my rock bottom is better than other people's, but we all have our own journey, and I chose to identify this as my rock bottom,
Yeah,
right?
I
I
mean,
was still
anything that catapults you into changing your ways, rethinking your life is a rock bottom, no matter what it is. Like you said, there's no category, there's no right or wrong rock bottom.
Exactly. So I just started reading 5 pages a day. I started waking up a little earlier. I started going to the gym. I started just like Googling how to make a lot of money, Googling what industries make the most money, how to be an entrepreneur, and just started like watching YouTube videos and started applying this stuff to our life. Because look, we can be hyper aware of all of the habits that serve us and can make us more money and can make us live our healthiest and best life, right? But if we're not doing them, it doesn't matter. So I started
Mm,
executing on them. And then five months went by. I was like, oh, okay, I got a little more
feeling
money
a
in my
little
bank account,
better.
feeling a little better, starting to get out of this, valley. Let's get back to the top of the mountain type of thing. And then I've just been doing that every single day for the last 7 years, 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I like read a lot of books. I write a lot. I post a lot of content about personal growth. I've done a lot of meditation retreats. I've traveled the world. I've worked with 1,000 clients. I've done a lot of things to not only serve myself but serve others, and I'm continuously learning, continuously growing. I don't know everything, but because I
Right.
operate from this beginner's mindset, it gives me the humility and the ability to learn more. So having conversations like this on this podcast, which is great, it helps us re-identify the person who we want to be.
Right. These are my favorite kind of conversations, on or off a podcast. I feel like now it's really hard for me to have like superficial surface level conversation. I'm just completely checked out. I love having deep, meaningful conversations. So going back, you said you were 23, which is obviously very young. Our brains are not even fully developed at that age. And I feel like for you, it was just you didn't know who you were. So you were letting the outside world kind of tell you who you were. But maybe deep down inside, you knew, you had a gut feeling, this isn't really who I am. So I think the universe, God, whatever you believe, was like, all right, I gotta halt this right now and I steer you back on the correct course, which led you to your rock bottom, but ultimately it was what you needed to do what you're doing now. I don't think anyone falls into being a personal growth coach on accident. I don't think they're like, oh, I think one day I'll just decide to do that. I think it is a lot of personal experience, your own journey, everything like that. So you're taking your rock bottom, what happened to you, maybe the mistakes you made, and you are not letting it go to waste, which is huge. So I love that.
Well said.
Yeah, and then also, so actions, what I love to say is actions really trickle back up to beliefs. So your beliefs dictate your thoughts dictate your feelings dictate your actions. So if you can remember kind of being 23 and maybe you're 21, 22, and what did you really believe about yourself? Like, did you have a lot of self confidence, or was like your confidence that you had maybe back then kind of like a show of like, this is like my defense mechanism?
Yeah.
And have you kind of tapped into that on your healing journey?
This is a question I get often, and a lot of people that reach out to me for coaching and things like that. One of the first questions is, how do you get your confidence? And I wish I had a diabolical, scientific, proven way on how I developed confidence. But unfortunately, for other people that aren't as confident, my answer is I was born with confidence. I don't know
Yeah.
how, I don't know why. I've never been scared to make friends. I've never been scared to take risks. I've never, been timid in showing people who I am, and I always speak my mind. And a lot of times it bites me in the ass, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's all
Right?
right. Put
Yeah, of
yourself out
course.
there. Take
That's
risks.
it. Throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
But I'm also a natural extrovert, and not that they're directly correlated, but when you are an extrovert and you have more conversations and you speak up more often, even though it might not be confidence, you start to see a little bit of success in conversations you're having with wealthier
Yes.
people, or conversations you're having on a deeper level. Like you said, you're done with the superficial conversations, like the surface
Yeah.
level bullshit just doesn't, you can't even be around it anymore. And because of that, you're not around it anymore. But I, I was just kind of born with confidence. But cultivating that confidence is also a battle in itself, because there are days and there are weeks where I don't feel as confident. It's not like the switch is always on. There's
Right.
times, and recently, in the past couple months or so, I'm training for my fourth Ironman right now. My last Ironman in Barcelona back in October, my bike broke mile 3. It's a
Oh
112-mile bike ride,
gosh.
and I had to ride a bike over 100 miles in one gear in the up hills in Barcelona, Spain. And
Oh
unfortunately, I came in
no.
four and a half 5 minutes too slow, and I got DQ'd about like 10 hours into the race. And that was extremely humbling. And it was like, but then again, I did take a lot of accountability and responsibility. I did not prepare enough. My bike was not properly oiled, and I didn't know how to
Mm,
fix it when it did break. So I take
mm,
accountability for that. But my point is this: confidence is something you have to continuously cultivate, right? And it
yes.
starts by getting out of your comfort zone. So if anyone that's listening that's not confident right now, there's no secret, and it's not easy. It's going to
Mm.
be tough, okay? But you got to take the first step, and once you take the first step, it will get easier.
Yeah, I mean, you don't muster up all the confidence to go to a public speaking event. You go and do a public speaking event, and then over time, maybe after six, seven of them, you gain confidence or whatever it may be for you. And as life progresses, you're going to have to step into different roles, whether that's a job or being a parent or taking being an entrepreneur. So yeah, I mean, it starts with the action for sure. Action breeds confidence. So maybe you could give some advice on rock bottoms and how necessary they are. What are your take on rock bottoms? I feel like a lot of people try to avoid hardship. They try to avoid rock bottoms. They really don't want it, but I really truly feel like that is like necessary in life. If you
Yeah,
have any.
sorry to carry off. I don't think I've ever
No.
been asked this question about rock bottoms, and there are two different types of answers I want to give. The first answer I want to give, it doesn't take, even though it is necessary to have a rock bottom for you to kind of just catapult from there, but it's not required. And I know those are synonyms, and that might sound like it doesn't make sense, but you don't have to have a rock bottom. So I
Right.
guess it's not typically necessary. Like, you don't have to have a rock bottom, okay? But you have to have the desire and the motivation to want to change,
Mm,
because it is possible that it is healthy to lean into depression or anxiety or self-limiting beliefs, right? It's okay to be like, hey, I'm aware that I'm not in a good space. Like, the best way I can describe it is, when I was living by myself, before I started living with my girlfriend, when I was living by myself, my house would get very messy, and there's clothes all over the floor, and it would pretty much reflect where my mind's at over those 2 weeks.
mm,
It's like, hey, I don't really care right now. I'm waiting until 3 p.m. to brush my teeth, and even though I'm working hard and I'm waking up early and I'm hitting the gym and I'm training for Ironman, doing all those things,
mm-hmm.
I'm letting the chaos kind of happen, and I've realized that for me, sometimes leaning into that by like, hey, let's see how bad it can get real quick. Let's see how messy the house can really get real quick. To me, that does serve me in a way, right? And look, what works best for me might not work best for you, and vice versa. There is no, it's not written in concrete on how to do this, but you can use whatever situation is in front of you right here, right now, with what you got from
Mm,
where you're at to be your rock bottom, and you can identify it as your rock bottom. Now,
exactly.
ironically enough, there are people who grow massive amounts of wealth early in their life, and then they get divorced, and then they lose their kids because of they're cheating on their spouse, and then they turn to alcoholism, and then they start making bad investments, and then they end up hitting the rock bottom at 40, 50 years old. And I don't think a lot of us young people realize that hey, like, there are a lot of people back in 2008 that were 38 at the time, and they owned a lot of real estate, and they had a lot of money in the stock market, and they're
Mm,
multi-millionaires, and they're 45 years old. Oh, it's only up from here. And then they hit rock bottom at 50, and it's time to
right.
rebuild from there. So, like, I stay on my toes. It's like, hey, just because that was my rock bottom and I had no money at 25, living with my parents, drinking 4 times a week, whatever, doesn't mean that I'm not going to have another rock bottom. And
Right.
because of that, I stay on my toes, like, always protecting what I got, but trying to find more. And networking is really big for me right now. I'm just like trying to meet a ton of like wealthy people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that answers the question. I kind of went off topic, but
No, that was great. Like you said, kind of like we said, it's everyone's rock bottom is different. So a rock bottom for, say, a woman in her 30s that gained a lot of weight and all of a sudden she realizes like, okay, like I have to do something about this. There's no more. So like that could be a rock bottom. It doesn't have to be a financial fallout or in jail or whatever it is. It could be anything. And it's like you said, something that makes you go, okay, I need to make a change right now. And I saw something that you posted, and it was you were baffled by someone that woke up at 5 a.m. and went to the gym. So it sounded like that was kind of the start of your
absolutely.
incorporating healthy habits. You were like, how does someone go to the gym at 5 a.m. or even wake up? So tell us that the first couple of things you started to implement that
Yeah.
you just
Like,
were able to build upon.
Right. Like I said in that Instagram post, I didn't even know that existed. It never crossed my mind that people are waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym. It wasn't even in my consciousness. And I met a good friend of mine. Shout out my friend Dylan. I was a real estate agent. So what the career and I guess the work opportunity that was given to me that really kind of grew and catapulted my personal growth journey was when I turned 26. I became a real estate agent. Someone just reached out,
Okay.
hey, we're looking for sales associates to show houses. You're not getting any commission. You're gonna get paid $38,000 a year. And I was like, yes, for sure. You're very humble. Hey, look, I don't have any work right now. This is a perfect opportunity for me. I'm going to learn sales. I'm going to learn real estate. I'm going to learn finance. Let's do it. And one of the
Perfect.
agents that worked there, I started getting to know him. We were about the same age. He went to Florida State. I went to UF, so we had a little bit of rivalry there, and it was kind of fun to play around with. And it was like, hey, so how was your morning? Oh, it was good, man. I crushed legs this morning. I go, dude, it's 7 a.m. What do you mean you crushed legs? He goes, yeah, I was there at 5 a.m. I was like, wait, you were at the gym at 5 a.m. working out? He goes, yeah, I do it every single morning. I was like, and the next thought, this is how I knew I was onto something, because my next thought was, I need to do that. It wasn't, oh my God,
Oh,
how do you do that? Or, oh my God, that sucks. Or, what time do you go to sleep? I didn't care what time you went to, because that's what everyone asked me. Zach, you wake up at 5 a.m. to train for Ironman.
yeah.
What time do you go to sleep? My next thought was, boom, I need to do that. But you're absolutely right. That was 100% like the catalyst that shot me out of the cannon, because, I was reading the books. I was starting to wake up a little earlier. But when I heard that this kid was waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym before he worked his 9-hour day, I was like, that's the shit I got to be on. There's
And he
levels to this.
was and
And
he
that
was
was the next step.
successful. You considered him a successful person
Oh,
you looked up to?
absolutely.
Okay.
Closing million
Yeah.
dollar deals. Yeah. He had a great relationship with his girlfriend. He, was traveling all the time, having a good time on the weekends. I mean, look, on the surface level, and I'm not making this specific about him. On the surface level, people can portray that things are going really well. In this situation, things were going very well for him. But
I
look,
personally knew this for a
yeah.
fact.
The last thing I want to say about that, though, is you have nothing to lose by waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym. Like,
Right.
it
You
does
only have
not
more to
matter what else
gain.
happens. If
Yeah.
you're up at 5 a.m. and you're hitting the gym, you already won the day. Everything else flows from there.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, when you took that job, you were like, I just obviously you had all the time in the world and you had no money, so 38,000 was way more than what you're making. But I'm a big believer in putting yourself in rooms. Where are the people at that have what you want? And that could be the gym as well. Obviously, if people are at the gym, they're trying to better themselves in some way. So I'm just such a firm believer, and like I tell my boyfriend all the time, like just go to that event. Just whatever, even if nothing comes out of it for you, it doesn't have to be a transactional thing. You go to the event, you put yourself in the rooms, you'll gain more confidence just by walking in the door. And yeah, and that's, you just build on top of that. So it sounds like that's what you wanted to do, because you're like, well, I'll meet people, I'll put myself in the right rooms. You clearly met a guy that maybe helped change your life in some way by giving you the motivation to go to
Absolutely.
the gym.
100%.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in that. How have your physical habits, because I think habits are mainly physical things we have to do. Obviously there's some mental habits like thinking different and negative self-talk and all that, but how did your physical habits start to change your mental health?
I think in every single way. I mean, it is so directly correlated. Your physical health is directly correlated to your mental health. So,
Yes.
it's not. I don't want to break down the science. I think that everyone can do their own research on like why that's the truth, or you can blindly just believe you and I that, hey, if you start working out more, your mental health will get stronger. But I think it was chasing. No, it was doing things that weren't enjoyable that you knew were good for your health. For example, when I started and I know it's just physical, but I want to talk about meditation for a second. It's
Yeah.
like when I started meditating back in 2018, the first couple times I meditated, it was really hard. And I was like,
Oh
this
yeah.
is not really doing anything. And, 20 minutes is a long time to just sit cross-legged with my eyes closed. But I'm going to see this through, because people that I admire, people that are wealthy, people that are happy, people that seem to be successful on the outside always talk about this meditation thing, and they're not trying to sell me anything. That's how you know. That's how you know it's real, when there's no hidden agenda. It's like, hey, I
Right.
meditate. It's free. All you got to do is repeat this mantra for 20 minutes. and see what happens. But
Yep.
with working out, back to the physical health and how it's correlated to your mental health, it's like when you do reps on the bench press or on the squats, whatever it is, you're chasing hard things. Like you're intentionally doing hard things. And when you do something hard that you originally are like, oh, that sucks, or oh, maybe I don't know if I can do that, and you accomplish it, it's like, oh, okay, what else can we accomplish? Okay, I literally just
Yes.
ran, like when I ran my first 9 miler, I'm training for Ironman, training for a marathon, I ran nine, I was like, 9 miles? Like, and I was so proud to tell people that. I show up to Sunday dinner at my house, and everyone's like, oh, how was your weekend? I'm like, oh, it was good. Ran 9 miles this morning at 6 a.m. People are like, what?
I'm the shit.
Yes. So 100%. I think physical exercise, and a lot of the clients that I work with, whether they come to me with anxiety problems or they come to me because they're feeling stuck or they come to me because of XYZ, the first thing we talk about, one of my first questions is, how often are you exercising? Literally, it's one of the first two. How often are you exercising? And if the answer isn't like right there, right now, and it's like, I mean, over the last 2 weeks, not enough,
Yeah.
not
Yep.
enough.
It has
So
to be immediate. Oh, every day.
every day.
And then from there, it's like, okay, well, then what do you do? And then you can kind of dig deeper from there. I love that because I love talking about starting with your physical health with wanting to change anything. I say that all the time. You can control about 90% of your physical health. You might not be able to, be able in control of geographical location or disability or whatever. But I think the biggest sense of pride, accomplishment, and confidence comes from achieving something within yourself as opposed to, I'm going to chase a financial goal or a work goal or something like that, because that's kind of outside yourself. But whenever you can change your physical body, whew, I know that's the biggest sense of pride that I've ever felt. I did a fitness competition about 10 years ago, which has been the only physical competition I've ever done, but it was amazing because I felt and I saw what my own body was capable of. And now I am my own motivation. If I ever need to get back on track, so to speak, I'm like, okay, what did I do in those years and that I look like that? It's not like, okay, what book should I read? What person do I need to follow and follow their diet? It's like, I know exactly what worked for my body. I think that's a lot of, we talked about that, me and my boyfriend the other day, of like, people just are so uneducated and they don't put enough time or effort in to see something through to know what works for them. You know what I mean? Or they try to educate without putting in the effort. And they try to learn everything first. Like, or
Yes.
just, you would actually learn and see much faster if you were actually incorporating and putting in the action with the education that you're trying to learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So there's a term for this now. I don't know if this is the exact term, but you follow Alex Hormozy.
I do. I love him. Yeah.
I love him. I love him. Right. I was put onto him about like a year and a half ago when he had
Yeah.
like 300,000 followers. Obviously, he's
Yeah.
blowing up since then. Now I listen to every single one of his podcasts as soon as it comes out. And he uses the term mental masturbation is the term he uses.
Oh,
So
I've never
I'm
heard
not
him say
using that
that.
term. Yeah, I don't know if he coined that term or whatnot, but mental masturbation is exactly what you just said. It's information overload. It's let's read
Yes.
25 books in the next 3 months and let's watch all these YouTube videos. When no. You want to start a business? Okay. Start selling things.
Yeah.
Find your first client.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't need to learn all this material. You need to learn by getting
Through,
experience.
yeah,
So,
through
yes, so
action.
you
Exactly.
nailed it on the head.
Yep.
That's a fact.
Yeah, so start with your physical self, guys, if you are trying to change your life in any sort of way. I mean, you'll create discipline, you'll create routine, time structure, you'll see your body change. You'll be like, oh my God, okay, if I can do this, what else can I do? And it just literally won't stop.
Yeah, can I add one thing to that about
Yeah,
the
of
physical
course.
change? One thing. So I actually just launched a group coaching program helping people
Perfect.
run their first 10K or half marathon. Okay. And the reason why this is and it's for non-runners. And the reason why I did this is because physical health, back to the entire conversation we just had over the last 5 minutes, is the starting point. It's, hey,
Exactly.
tie your shoes, get out the freaking door and go try to run a mile. Do that for 3 days a week for a month and watch not only your physical health change, but your physical environment, your bank account, your relationships, your values are going to start getting more clear. So I'm like, okay, how can I help people more without one-on-one coaching or help people at this, like a lot of people at one time. So I launched this group coaching program. It's called the Live Better Now Run Club. You can go to lifecoachzach.com and just put in your information and learn more
I
about
love
it.
that.
But
I am
the next
not,
one will be October 1st.
I'm not a runner, so that might be good for me. I don't know what it is. I can't run. Like, well, first of all, my body, and then mentally, I get bored. I'm like, God, I'm so bored. It is something I would love to accomplish, though. My boyfriend ran a half marathon, and I was like, I should have been out there running with him as opposed to watching him, but maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, and then also just to add to that, like you said, just putting on your shoes and going out the door. Like, start with little habits. I think people think it's a 180-degree change. Tomorrow, I will literally change everything about the way I've been living for the last 30, 40 years. That is not how it works. And you're going to give up easily. You're going to set the bar too high. And then when you don't hit those expectations, you're going to give up. So start very, 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 very small. Like you said, buy a pair of running shoes. And that's step one. And then
Right.
go on a walk. Step two, walk a little faster. Step three, incorporate
Exactly.
one healthy meal a day as opposed to trying to switch out 5 meals. Like you were just eating shit yesterday and now you're going to eat healthy. That's not going to work. So little by little, a little becomes a lot, is one of my favorite
Absolutely.
quotes. Awesome. Okay, so what is one piece of advice, or maybe a few, that you would give to someone who maybe where you were in 2015? You're kind of at this rock bottom, or maybe even, someone who's living that lifestyle like you were, trying to get all this attention, and kind of having outside external factors dictate your self worth and your
Yeah.
identity. What would you say to that person who's like stuck in that right now?
Yeah. So I've worked with a lot of people that fit that exact description. And this advice is going to sound so elementary, but the advice is just start. It doesn't matter where you start, how you start. I think focusing on yourself, like you said, physically is a good place to start. But our personal growth journey is going to last our entire lives. Like you and I, we're going to be getting 1% better. We're going to have a growth mindset. We're going to continue to learn and sharpen our skills until the day they put us underground.
Yep.
That's a fact, right? Like learning and growth never stops. Tony Robbins is still learning shit, right?
Yep.
The richest people in the world, the most successful people in the world are still trying to learn things, and they're actively searching and seeking out information they don't currently know.
Yep.
So I think the best advice I'd give to someone who is in a situation like mine back in 2015, or maybe they're just feeling stuck, or maybe they don't know where to start, just dedicating 25 minutes to personal growth every single day. And personal growth is health, wealth, and happiness. It's, how could you work out better? How could you eat cleaner? How could you focus on your mental health by meditation, journaling, or gratitude, right? Write one, even if you just write down one thing you're grateful for every single day, you're making progress in the right direction. It's better than where you are yesterday.
Yeah.
Just do that and be 1% better each and every single day. And those small wins consistently executed over time are going to amount to massive results. So my advice is just start.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a journey, never-ending journey. And what I want to say to people is when you do start this, you are opening up a can of worms, let me tell you. Not to sound scary or hard, it's actually I love it. I love, like you said, it's like I will work on something and I'll work through it, but then something else pops up and now I got to work on that. Like the things I'm working on right now weren't what I was working on last year. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm always finding something, maybe like a trigger or a low self belief in myself in some area. So it's not like you are going to pick one thing and that's the only thing that you're going to try to fix and then it's over and you're done. There's so many facets to our minds and our bodies, and you're always going to be discovering something new. So it literally never ends, but it's also an amazing journey and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I
I'm like
a
I'm
little
like
bit about
obsessed.
a little bit about my stories. I mean, not I
Please.
won't go into full detail, but in 2020, I left California and I moved to Florida. And at the time, during 2020, I had a rock bottom in January 2020, and then I did massive healing in 2020. And at the time, I was in a toxic relationship that I needed to get out of. Although for the last 2.5 years, I had really let him kind of like take control of me financially, emotionally. Like he was kind of my identity and my self-worth. And once I fixed all that and I really created my own self-worth and discovered my own power, I left California with $200 in my bank account, my dog, and a couple suitcases. But I was so happy because I was like, I have the most valuable thing, and that's my emotional intelligence and my emotional health. And I know if I have that, I can do anything. But if you don't have that, I don't know. It's real tough life. If you don't have boundaries, if you just like kind of, you're going through life and you let every situation or every person dictate who you are in that moment. And then when you're tired of that, you move on to the next person. You're like, oh, maybe I'm this, maybe I'm that. But it's like find your true self first and then operate from that space.
Yeah.
So, emotional health is very valuable. What is your favorite habit that you have today?
Oof, my favorite habit. Well, let me show you something. So, obviously, we all use like different habit trackers and things like that. I have a list of habits that I track every single day. So let me
Cool.
go through, let me see which one is the best. I have wake up at 5 a.m. So I give myself points. At the end of the day, I give myself points and I see how many points I got because these aren't habits I execute each and every single day. It's hard to have a perfect day, but I have on here wake up at 5 a.m., wake up at 5:30, wake up at 6 a.m. So if I'm up at 5 a.m., I get 3 points. If I'm up at 5:30, I get 2 points. If I'm up at 6 a.m.,
Nice. I like that.
meditate 20 minutes, train for Ironman, fast for 16 hours, do 100 push-ups, 100 crunches, 100 calf raises. And that's in the category of personal growth and inner work. Then I have my work and marketing goals, right? So for example, over the last 2 months, I've been asking 2 people a day to review my podcast and give it a rating, right? So we went from having like 30 something reviews and I think we hit over 80,000 streams and downloads last week. But the numbers are starting to go parabolic. But anyway, we had 30 something ratings. And I was like, let me just ask 2 people a day and not just solicit it, be like, hey, hope you're having a great day. How's everything going? Oh, it's going well. What can I do to help you out? Nothing. I'm doing great. Okay, great. Do you think you can, you know,
Yes.
follow
I
my
love that.
podcast? And then also, what I started doing too is I started reaching out to my friends that own businesses and saying, hey, my man, by the way, just want to let you know I left you a review on your garage epoxy business. 5-star review, honest review. Like, oh my God, thanks so much. What can I do for you? So like
Yes.
giving first, not asking, but so anyway, we went from 30 reviews. We now hit 120 ratings on Apple, and we're on the
Cool.
front page of Apple Podcasts if you type in life coach. So just by writing down the one thing of asking 2 people a day for so anyway,
I'm
a
going to
lot of
do that.
and then for important disciplines, I've cleaned the whole house. Every single day I go to a 4 bedroom, 2,500 square foot house with 2-car garage. I got to go to every bedroom, make sure all of the stuff's put away, things like that. Eat 150 grams of protein. Don't eat sugar. No fap. I don't know if you know what that is. No biting my nails. Duolingo. Learn Spanish and do all the dishes. So, what's my favorite habit? I think it's waking up at 5 a.m. I think that is the most important one because if I do that, I can get a lot done before 7, 8 a.m. 8 a.m. I'm in the process of writing my second book. I'm 30,000 words into it, and I'm trying to complete it so I can send it to the editor for first rough draft. And I try to spend 2 hours a day writing because writing is a very creative process. And the more
Yes.
creative we are, and the more we test and challenge our brain, the better things are. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. What about you? What are some of your favorite?
Yeah. I love the 5 a.m. I wake up at about 5 a.m. as well every day. We used to wake up at 4:30 for a while, and that we're kind of got it 30 minutes there. My favorite habit that I think I do, and I wouldn't even, it's not even a physical habit. I think the best habit that I have is mental, and it's really noticing when I am having a trigger or I'm kind of having a little bit of anxiety and being able to kind of fix that in the moment as opposed to letting it get out of control and lasting hours, days, weeks, months, whatever it may be. I think the best thing I do now is like I stop everything I'm doing and just make sure that I fix myself or whatever you want to say, maybe not fix, but like calm myself down, whether it be through breath work or like saying some affirmations or anything like that. Like in the moment, I can like switch my attitude very fast now or my emotions. And I think that's my favorite habit that I definitely did not have. And it definitely took me a long time to muster up being able to do that. I would say when I first started, okay, I could get my triggers down to like a couple hours. Like it would bug me for a couple hours. And then over time, I could do it in like, okay, maybe like affected me for 10 minutes. And then now it's 1 minute. Now it's like a couple seconds. I'm like, good to go. So I think that's my favorite habit that I have.
That's a good habit to have. So let me
Yeah.
ask you this question. How do you cultivate that habit and strengthen that discipline?
Just being aware, honestly. I think one of the first things I tell people to do if they want to start like a healing journey or anything is recognizing your triggers. If you get angry, upset, annoyed, mad, sad, stop in your tracks and be like, what just happened just now? Okay, that just happened. Someone said something to me, someone cut me off in traffic. I'm super angry now. And then it's actually going back and working through those triggers of like, why is that your trigger? Because not everyone has the same trigger. So somewhere in your life, something happened that caused you to have these triggers that were kind of programmed in your mind that looped and happened over and over again. So yeah, it was just really starting to be aware. Like when I first started going to therapy, I would just go home and I'd be like, if I got any sort of emotion, I'd be like, okay, what just happened? And I would really try to be aware of it, write it down, try to sit with it. You know, feelings are all about working through them and sitting with them as opposed to trying to suppress them or block them out. You really have to work through the feelings. So yeah, that's what I started doing. I didn't have that skill or even start that until I was 30 years old. So it's been a learning process. I always say that, like, I feel like I was born when I was 30 because I feel like I've been parenting myself for the last 3.5 years. I didn't have the emotional tools. I wasn't given the emotional tools. I had a very, very good life. But when real life happens and you don't have the necessary tools, you got to learn them somehow. So,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean that awareness is so important, and it's hard to begin the awareness because you're always searching like how could you be more aware? Well, you got to be aware that you're aware in the first place, type of thing. So, but
Exactly.
that is a great habit to have.
Yeah, it's like
That
dimensions of awareness. Got to be aware that you're aware. You got to be aware of the meditator, you know what I mean? If you're meditating, the goal is to like observe the meditator, if that makes sense,
hmm
or be
Absolutely.
observe your thoughts as opposed to letting the thoughts control you. So, awesome. Well, this has been great. Where can people find you? What do you need from us? Book reviews, podcast reviews, you have
Ooh,
coaching, you have life
question.
coaching.
Great
Where can people
question.
find you?
Well, you can head over to lifecoachzach.com. Zach is spelled Zach, lifecoachzach.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Zach Rance. Um, Check out the book on Amazon. If you type in Live Better Now, it should be on the front page. If you type in Life Coach on any podcast platform, I should be on the first page. So you can check out all those resources. And this has been a great conversation.
Totally.
I definitely had a good time. And um, this topic is something that I'm really passionate about. So I'm glad we were able to connect today.
Awesome. Me too. And then one more. You said your runner club starts October. Is that what I heard?
Yes, October 1st. So you can head over to lifecoachzach.com,
Okay.
learn
All
more about the
right.
Live Better
So
Now
for all you
mindset.
non-runners that want to complete a 10K or a half marathon, get in on
Exactly.
Zach's running club. I may have to join, so I'll see you there. Okay, Zach, thank you so much and have a great day. And I'm sure we'll be keeping in touch.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.